Good evening, everybody. If you could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did everybody have a chance to look at last month's meeting minutes?
I went over those and I haven't seen anything that stands out. So I recommend that we adopt the November 19th, 2025 minutes as presented by staff.
Okay, you heard the motion to approve last month's meeting minutes. Is there a second?
A second.
Second's been called for. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion's passed. Additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, we have one deletion, docket 2413 Nursery Street Townhouses. It was a modification request. The applicant has tabled that item from the agenda for tonight.
Okay, so Nursery Street is off the agenda for this evening. Also, if anybody is here for Citronia Road Data Center, that is off the agenda tonight. American Craft Brewery is off the agenda for tonight. Estate at Woodmere, Bacon Lane, Ash Lane, Windmere Lane, Glenman area is off the agenda. And 6939 Roopsville Road is off the agenda. So tonight we'll be speaking specifically about Sunset Orchards, 2336, 121 Nestle Way, 2343, and 2411 339 Grange Road. I want to remind everybody here in the public that you're allowed 5 minutes to speak on each agenda item, and you must be recognized by the floor. And this evening, Pete will be our timekeeper for the 5 minutes.
Right. Or right.
Right, I mean, I did it again. So we're going to start out with docket 2336, Sunset Orchard, Johnson, Roopsville Road preliminary subdivision and land development.
All right. The applicant is proposing to consolidate two existing lots and to construct a residential development consisting of 197 townhouse units and 6 single-family semi-detached twin-style homes with associated site improvements. The application includes a modification request letter identifying 3 waivers from sections of the SAUDO. In terms of the Vision Zero action plan, it does show a side path connection along both Ruppsville and Shantz Roads to provide connection to Lone Lane and Grange Parks. And this application has been reviewed several times in the past. They used to show sidewalks in those areas, but now the plans have been updated to include side paths as requested by the township. The township has also worked with the applicant to provide a 14-foot wide path from their parking lot into a township-owned property. That's all the comments I have.
All right. Thank you, Meredith. At this point, we will invite the applicant or their engineer to come up and discuss. But prior to you introducing the project, I will go over the waivers and modification requests with the Planning Commission. The first item that is a waiver request is number 1. Side lot lines shall be at right angles to street lines or radial to curved street lines. Internal to their site for several of their clusters, where the proposed Sunset Boulevard has a reverse curve, they cannot adhere to this ordinance section due to the geometry and shared lot lines between townhomes and the driveways. So we are in favor of the Planning Commission recommending that approval. Second item has to do with a 5-foot grass strip that is required between the curb and sidewalk. This would be in reference to both Ruppsville and Shantz Roads. Because the applicant is accommodating the township by increasing the side path there to 6 feet wide, they're losing a foot of their grass strip, whereas they would have had it if they had a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk, which would have met the needs of the ordinances. So we are recommending the Planning Commission recommend that approval as well. And then the last waiver request is number 3. All sanitary sewer easement areas must be graded level and wide enough to provide vehicular access for maintenance. Due to the side slopes along Rupsville Road and the sanitary sewer that they are installing, they could not meet that due to existing topography. So we are in favor of the Planning Commission recommending that approval as well. So those are the three modifications that they are requesting.
Okay, anybody have any questions on the waivers? Any motions on the waivers?
Let's hear the presentation.
All right, let's, go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Sean Duffy. I'm an attorney with Overmeyer here on behalf of the applicant. Along with me is Jason Engelhardt of Langen, projects engineer, and then John Townley of DR Horton. As already described, we're in receipt of all the township review letters. For any open-ended items, we're generally a will comply. I know we went through the waivers, and we're happy to see that the township's engineer is recommending approval of the same. And then just for your awareness, the overall staff recommendation for the preliminary plan is that a recommendation be of approval from the Planning Commission be pushed forward. We can go through a high-level overview of the plan, go through any questions that you have based on the review letters. Just let us know. I can have Jason come up here and kind of walk you through what we're looking at.
Please do.
What I'd like to see is kind of a quick overview of what's changed from the last time the residents in the adjoining houses have seen. I think this is a new plan to them. It's not necessarily to us, but it is to them. So you might want to hit on that a little bit so they're up to speed of what you had done before, because you had a greater density than you have now. So,
Sure, yes. Again, Jason Engelhardt with Langen Engineering. It's nice to see everyone tonight. So this is for Langen, this is the third time that we've submitted these plans. So there's been some time between where we've worked with your engineers and staff to make some changes to the drawing. The plan itself and again, it even predates us. So there was an alternate plan that was the previous engineer submitted in 2023 that had a similar density, probably another 7 or 8 units, but a different mix. The current plan, the one in front of you today, is 197 townhouses and 6 twins. There was, from our initial submission, 2 twins that were removed from the plan. So density initially for 2023, we lost about 7 or 8 units, and then there was an additional 2 units that were lost more recently. I think from a planning point of view, the plans have not changed dramatically. The biggest discussion item at the last meeting I was here, which I think goes back to the summer, was the intersection with Bastion. There was some back and forth, and ultimately it was decided, recommended by the Planning Commission, that we provide a T intersection there. So where our project comes out on Bastion, it meets at a T intersection, and it's a 3-way stop condition. Everyone thought it would be a safer intersection. But outside of that, I don't know that the plan changed dramatically. Most of the other changes that were made were request engineering comments. We'll find the stormwater. There were some sanitary sewer comments to address some of their concerns and how we approach the utility connections. But not,
so the detention basins are all exactly they've changed since the plan that was here in 23. So.
oh yes, certainly yes.
So I mean, these people saw that plan back then. Most of these people did not come to our meetings
Okay.
in the interim, and that's what I was trying to get at. Is I don't want you to go over the whole thing, but there have been some changes, and you might want to just discuss the impacts they have to the back of their properties and that sort of thing, because what little there is. So
Okay.
plus your
Well,
drainage that you have up on Sunset going up to Bastion, you show a retention and a detention pond. So.
Yes. So if we're dealing with that area up that backs up to, or that ends at Bastion, there's a shallow infiltration basin. Pull up my laser pointer. So you guys can't see the screen.
No.
I can't see it on the screen.
No, but we know where it's at.
Okay. Regardless, there's a shallow infiltration basin that picks up drainage from the end of the roadway and the last couple groups of units. That's roughly 3.5 feet deep. That drains then to a small line detention basin and ultimately discharges under the intersection to adjacent to the street. So both have emergency spillways that in case of emergency can spill back onto our roadway extension and away from any of the neighbors.
So is it looked into, is that the piping you have there, is that going to be increased going to the existing drainage that goes underneath the road?
Yeah, it's all new. It's all new infrastructure. So we won't be connecting to any of the existing infrastructure that's there.
Yeah, because it's probably undersized compared to what the amount of flow that you're going to have compared to what comes off of 78.
Yeah, well, again, it's designed just for what we're installing there. It's completely independent of what exists at that intersection today. Those pipes that cross on Bastion.
But if the flow is greater than what the pipe will handle that's existing, that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah, well, we're not discharging to those pipes. We're discharging downstream directly to the stream corridor, and we're also meeting the Act 167 requirements, which require a greater peak rate reduction than anything that's been there previously. So everything's sized
All right.
according to your ordinance.
Just for my knowledge is someone has dropped a crate on that radius curve of Bastion where your future thing, it's been sitting there for weeks. Is that part of your?
You literally drop it.
It's a large crate. It has stampings on it. I haven't got out of the car because
I can answer that. That's Verizon. Verizon ran cabling where that street, where their new intersection's gonna be right across there.
okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't get out and look at it. I was just curious why it wasn't something related to their engineering, but I didn't see flags or stakes or anything.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
Yeah, I drove through that intersection this evening. I didn't see it, but yeah, we're not.
okay. That's good. Just wondered if it was part of your, and if it's not, so. Yeah. All right.
So, I mean, as far as the stormwater management, we've been through a couple reviews with the Planning Commission. They just asked for the spray irrigation design because a number of the basins are going to be line detention basins that will spray irrigate the 2-year volume difference. So, if we extension and they're doing that, we'll be consistent with them. We've had numerous meetings with the Conservation District. We haven't formally submitted anything because we really wanted to work out stormwater with the township and encouraging here, but we've had multiple formal meetings with them, so they've seen it. All the infiltration testing's been done. Everything we need to file that application.
So you're showing a dog park there and you're showing a print's rather small for an old man. So.
So can I go back to the detention basins for a minute before we move on? So would your estimation be that there's going to be more water flowing to what you call the stream? It's really not a stream, or less than there is at the current?
The Act 167 requires us to reduce the peak rate substantially. So there's two different sub areas, one to the east and one to the west, but so the rate of the amount they're reduced is different depending on which one. But in both cases, they're substantial.
Because there's already a significant amount of water that comes from I-78 that runs down through that, which is mostly dry, except for when it rains, which then collects behind all the houses that are down there. So any more water coming out of there is going to be a big problem for the houses downstream. And I'm sure that that will be watched and documented.
And again, we will have to satisfy, hopefully, our Valley Planning Commission, your engineer, and the conservation. But it is a substantial, 50% in one direction, 30% in the other reduction.
And Ray, we can confirm that.
Okay.
Great reduction all around for the entire site of runoff due to detention, infiltration,
Right.
and spray irrigation. Yes.
So you mentioned 50/30. 50 which way? 50s to the west or to the east?
Josh, can you remind me?
Yeah, so when he's mentioning.
Got to come up.
When he's mentioning 50/30, he means the year storm, but yeah, it's 50.
Tell us who you are, please. It's being,
Sorry, Josh Kusick, Langen, engineer. So when he's mentioned 50/30, he's mentioned 50 is gonna go to the right, so Bastion Lane, it's gonna drain to Cedar Creek that's right there. And then the 30 is going over to POA 1, which ends up going down the stream, down to the Lehigh. The Lehigh Creek.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So just for clarification, then the 50/30 you're referencing is the targeted rail 8 after it. So it's 30%.
The way the Act
To clarify.
167 Yeah, the way the Act 167 set up is the 2-year storm got to be reduced by 30%, and then I think it's at the 5, 10, 1500's got to be reduced by 50%, which we are meeting. So we are reducing the current condition.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 30% release rate, not necessarily
Well, right.
30% reduction.
Right.
It's a 30% release rate.
Okay.
So it's
So they
slowing it
need to
down.
hit
Yes.
30% of the pre-development target.
Yes.
Just
Yeah, the way this used to work is you met pre and post.
Right.
And then those reductions get.
Yeah, just clarifying because he wasn't saying what actually the ordinance requires. So just
Understood.
thank you.
And to quantify what I just heard, if you're at currently 100 whatever units, you're now going to be releasing at 30 of those units. Or did I misunderstand what you just said?
You're correct.
Okay.
No more than 30.
All right. So
It's not, yeah. like-
whatever it is, it's just that ratio is what I'm trying to
Yes.
go
It's
after.
cubic feet per second. Yes,
Yeah.
I understand.
So it will be a reduction coming into behind the houses over a longer period of time. So that way we get this burst of rain coming in on 78. That stream doesn't flood, coming back down through Heatherfield and all that stuff where you can kayak. It's going to be mitigated to a degree, correct?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Only for them though.
Only for
For their
yeah, coming
site.
off in that area. Yeah, you still have all of coming across 70 and 2.
They're not mitigating
We're
on
not-
70.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed. But the
Right.
section that is filling from your area that is going to be reduced by 70% to in that rate.
Yes.
I'm good on that.
Huh?
I'm good.
all right.
I interrupted Chris before. So.
Chris, what was you had?
You had a question, I think dog park, something like that?
Oh, yeah, just saying, you still have the dog park and you have the passive field, which could be anything, could be soccer or whatever the kids want to play in the neighborhood. And is it going to be an HOA?
Yeah.
So the HOA is responsible for the maintenance of those.
Yeah, the road would be dedicated, but the open space would be the issue.
Okay.
And where did we land with that? Is Sunset Boulevard now proposed to be a township road?
We didn't see that in the documentation, so we'll have to confirm that.
Okay.
With Public Works and the township staff.
Well, that was
all
a-
Meredith.
Clear, it would be offered.
Well, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I thought it was supposed to be offered for dedication.
Yeah.
Offer for dedication.
believe-
Yes.
I
That's
believe we
good.
had a comment to clarify on the plans
Yeah.
explicitly what is proposed for dedication.
Right. And then the other roads and the other roads and courts coming off of it were supposed to remain private.
Right.
Yes. Access drives.
Thank you.
And the Township Recreation Department has indicated they do not want to accept dedication of the parks and open space. So they would be seeking a fee in lieu of.
Anything else, folks?
We're all square on parking.
Yes, parking meets the order. essentially one per unit and then the overflow parking lot.
And what I'm looking at in the drawing, I see 443 compared to 442 required.
That's correct.
Can you go over where you added the overflow parking lots, because they're new, they were not last October's,
So there's a series of overflow parking lots. We tried to space them throughout the community, so they're relatively, they have a relative distance to each of the units. But within the core areas, there's overflow parking lots. As you continue up Sunset, there's pockets of parking that would be kind of proximate to the residents that live in that area.
lot 6 is on the property right out again.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to go over?
Do we need a motion to open up the public discourse?
Are you done presenting, sir?
Yes, I'll ask this question.
All right, stand by.
Still have a question just for staff. So you have not submitted officially to NPDES.
We haven't, no.
Okay.
Two formal and one informal pre-con meeting with, but we were waiting, really to iron out the stormwater. There's a lot of back and forth.
Okay. And you're comfortable with where they stand? In the
We are.
process?
Yes, we're comfortable with what they've addressed in our letters, as well as previous township engineers' letters. We are comfortable for preliminary approval only.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. You want a motion?
All right, I'm going to open it up to the public. I'll recognize the person. You come up to the podium, tell me who you are and where you live. And when you do that, your timer will go on for 5 minutes. And we're not to sound mean, but we're not going to hear repetitive questions, even if you change a word. So it's open to the floor. Yes, sir. All right, come up, tell us who you are.
Elm Road resident. I'm just curious, will there be, how many access points to this development will there be?
Two plus one emergency access.
Where's the emergency?
The emergency access is to Elm.
It's Elm Road.
Yes.
So there'll be a connecting road to Elm.
There will be an emergency access point that fire or emergency staff could utilize, which is gated, and they could utilize if needed.
How close to our neighborhood at the end of Elm Road will this development come as far as building wise?
I don't have
Meredith,
that.
why don't-
I don't
why
have
don't
that
you point
dimension,
on
but
the-
it's on the plan there. If
Yeah.
you want to zoom in, Meredith.
So there will be a buffer zone.
Yes. You can see it. That's Elm Road there heading north.
Right.
And you can see that buffer between their property and the back of the proposed buildings.
And I have one other comment. When I read the proposal that says it's a low density area, one thing we got to keep in mind is, we're low density. But with the congestion around us, we just contribute to that. Our infrastructure can't handle what's going on out there. Tillman Road used to be a 5-minute ride to Wegmans. It's turned into a 15-minute ride. I know there's construction, but in general, just the amount of traffic around here. So, open space is nice too. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Andy Snyder. I'm on Tupelo. And I have two concerns. One is traffic, like you mentioned before. How many parking spaces are currently on the plan?
There's 443. Well, it's not parking spaces. That's counting a driveway space, one driveway space for every home plus the overflow.
Okay, so
Does that include the parallel places along the curb or not?
No, it does not.
Okay.
You have a 36-foot wide road. There's places you could park. We sign it, but they're not.
Okay.
will there be parking allowed on the road? I don't know if I asked the township or.
I don't believe so, considering there's driveway access points almost the entire length.
I think that's a township decision. It's
Yeah.
wide enough to allow some parking on the street, but it's not.
You could get some in.
Maybe a few. Yes.
Yeah, probably between Delilah and the next court.
Twins.
Yeah.
Right.
And It's been a year, I guess, since we saw the last presentation. At that time, I believe that the Sunset Boulevard was going to be a township road, which means that school buses would have access to it.
School buses would have access, whether it's private or public.
Okay, so.
If
it's not
the
like-
school district decided to access through there, yes.
Okay, because the concern was having kids lined up outside of this thing trying to get picked up by the school bus. So,
Understood. That's really at their discretion. And yes, I do see that at developments where they just stop at the main entrance and kids come and go. I don't know what the school district will do in this case.
I must be mistaken. I thought that that was contingent on whether the township managed the road.
I don't believe so, but we can look into that with the school district.
Well, my recollection is the reason why it became a public road is so the school buses
Yeah.
will
Mhm.
access it,
Okay.
because they made it clear they did not want to
Yeah,
go on
Park-
private roads.
I believe Parkland does not go on private roads.
So
I wasn't
we-
sure if it was just access drives, which most developments
Yeah.
have just access drives, but this is an actual street, not just an access drive.
No, but we
So-
didn't want them down at Shots Road and at Bass.
Understood.
You know,
Okay.
Those are,
I wasn't here for that meeting, so
Yeah,
I
no
don't know what you
worries.
guys discussed.
So we were talking earlier, Andrew, that we believe that Sunset is being offered for public dedication, which means if, if
Hasn't
the,
been agreed to yet, or has
well, the developer has, the plans need to go before the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors need to act on the plans. And then the Board of Supervisors need to decide if they want to accept the offer of dedication of the road. I think the applicant said you're intending to offer it.
Yeah, in fact, there's a note on the plan that
Yeah.
specifically says that, based on previous conversations.
So we can address that later then in front of the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah, that would be the proper
I know
body.
that's a concern. You said 400 spaces, so I think the average is 2 vehicles per household in the United States. So about 200 houses means about 400 cars. So, is that right?
Well, that's, we're providing parking for the ordinance for that.
Okay, but we can assume that there's going to be 2 per house. That's over 400 cars. So that's 400 cars trying to get out and go to work in the morning. That's 400 cars trying to get home at night on roads that are already.
I believe, Andrew,
beyond
that
capacity. So,
part of it is they have to relook at the intersection of Ruppsville and Shots.
well,
That's
that
going to
was-
be reconfigured because of the additional traffic's going to be.
That's,
No?
no, per the traffic impact study and previous discussions between the township and the previous engineer, there are no turn lanes proposed at Brooksville and Shawns.
Well, then how do you propose? And I don't know if you're the authority that makes that decision, but how do you propose to handle an additional 400 vehicles on a road where traffic already backs up on Shots and Rossville? Where are
Underst-
those 400 cars going to go?
So they did a traffic impact study. Not all 400 cars come out in the same time, and not all 400 come in at the same time. So,
I'm on the zoning board. I've heard traffic studies.
okay,
Okay, and I know that's the letter of the law.
I have the numbers in front of me, and this is based off.
But I live in reality.
Mhm.
Okay, and I've noticed a huge traffic influx over the past 10 years.
Of course, I mean, that's natural within inflation of population, yes.
To me, that's my main concern. And I certainly don't speak for everybody else.
Mhm.
But I know in the past, that's been a concern with other residents.
Okay, so,
Excuse me. just
Okay.
one word. Previously, we were talking about, when this was presented previously, they were talking about putting turning lanes at that intersection. Now it sounds like they're not going to be turning lanes, which makes that even worse. So,
If I can just respond to one. So there is widening proposed at both Shots and Ruppsville. Your ordinance requires a 25-foot half width.
Mhm.
We're widening it on both of those occasions. We are also, because we're widening, not because it's required, but because we're widening and it's available, we're going to stripe out a right turn lane.
Yeah.
That's illustrated on the plans too.
a right turn lane off at Shots.
Off of Shots onto it. because we have the width available
Yeah.
to us, so that was, and all of this will be, that'll be.
Oh, I'm sorry, onto Ruppsville, but not into your development.
No, it's not warranted into the development based on the traffic study has a level of service A coming in and out at the two intersections.
So that may alleviate some of the traffic turning right onto Ruppsville. What about people coming home and turning left to get into the development?
Yeah, that was looked at as part of the traffic study, and again, it was a level of service A, which means really no delay, no queuing issues. So,
And I'm assuming you're not a traffic expert, but the traffic study talks about peak. So
I'm not a traffic engineer, but I do have our traffic study here, and I can give you some information based on that.
So if that aside, if you stand out there in the morning, you see what I'm talking about, where it's congested. And that may not be that way an hour later, but it is there. And there's peak and there's average, I know that. But the peak is a problem now. Add, we'll say half of those cars, 200 cars will come out, maybe 200 goes. So it's still a problem.
And I can completely understand that.
And
I would only offer that, and again, you can accept this with what's in the study, the morning peak is 20 cars entering and 64 exiting, so 84 total cars. The PM peak is 66 entering and 39 exiting. And that would be divided between two access points. If you're closer to one or the other, you're gonna go use that.
So ultimately, who has the decision on whether or not the road gets widened? Is that the township? Is it PennDOT? Is it?
Currently, based on plan, the road's getting widened for a right turn. Agree?
Yes, and that's based on the township ordinance require widening.
Correct.
This will still get reviewed by PennDOT as part of this process.
Yeah.
It's their road. So they'll have to also. weigh in on it.
And you're widening along Ripsville also, right?
Yeah. Yeah, on the development side, widening up both.
The other concern I have that I think the residents of Oakland Park and Windermere should have is the access of Sunset as it goes to a T intersection onto Bastion Lane, which goes to Blue Barn. And that intersection, which I've been vocal about, should be a three-way stop also, letting traffic come from Tillman Street, because you can't stack it out to Tillman Street Memorial. But before, they used to have a three-way stop for a brief period of time, because to get out there to make a left-hand turn is a nightmare. And that's all day long.
Right, if you're talking about where Bastion crosses Blue Barn,
Yeah, it goes over
that
to,
intersection is getting very dangerous now. You gotta take a chance to get out in front.
yeah, and that's something I
It's a
think
matter of time before somebody.
this developer has no control over that.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to bring it as,
But
I'm
this
just
is
as
not helping that.
residents.
I just want to add to that. because
Ab-
those 200
Okay.
I'm sorry, 100 cars are going to come out.
Absolutely, but I think.
Thank you.
All right, I got one more concern.
Your 5
Well
minutes is
over
up.
5.
Well, you,
That's with the 5 minutes in.
well, you didn't explain it, so I'm going to.
I did.
I stopped several times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please stop the timer. I'm sorry.
There is the detention bases.
Okay.
The HOA.
You had your 5 minutes, sir.
I have one more thing, and is there anybody else that would like to speak?
I'm sure there are. This is a pretty packed meeting.
All right, I have this one. Okay.
No.
I'm concerned about water sitting in those retention. HOA is going to take care of, who has governance over the HOA? The
Paul, you
township?
probably answer that. How,
Yes, the township does. Yeah. The township would have the right to come in and maintain if needed.
So if we have a problem, we come to the township. So,
Correct.
Okay.
to just tag on to that, if water is in the retention basin, how long does it take or how long should it take to discharge? drain out?
It's 3 days, right?
Minimum.
How many?
The minimum, it's 24 to 72 hours.
How'd your rates come in on those basins, Jason? The infiltration rates?
Yeah, so some are detention.
Right.
And those would be lined. The ones that are infiltration, the rates, we were very conservative in the design rates we used, but in some cases they were decent.
Okay.
So they were an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches an hour. But we use a factor of safety in design, and in addition to that, you use the geometric mean, so
Yep.
it gets very low, really.
So obviously you have a bunch of basins and you can't talk on all of them. So on your infiltration basins, are you more towards the 24-hour or the 72-hour end?
Well, they're designed as extended detection basins, right? That's, if you let, it lets the pollutant settle
Yep.
out. So I'd have to pull up the information to let you know that, but they're designed to be in that range.
And then did I hear you say the actual lined basins were used for your spray reservoirs?
Yeah.
And then so spray is what, 7 days, right?
Correct.
So to answer whoever's question it was, there could be water in these basins for up to 7 days after a storm. And that would be a DEP requirement per the NPDES permit.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Michael Lau, Tupelo Road. One question I had, the last meeting, it was even requested by you that we see a rendering of what they're gonna look like. A drawing, we haven't seen that.
One has been submitted.
Yeah, we haven't seen it, we have concerns because.
We
see
did
some
ask
group
for
of
that.
Different places. And some are acceptable, and some aren't. And these are only 2-story, correct?
Yeah, 35.
It doesn't have a walkout basement with sliding doors that then go 2 flights over that, does it?
Does have a basement.
There are some walkout conditions, but not every one. Depends on the topography.
Okay, so what is our height?
Meredith, do you remember what submission that rendering came in?
You
He said
requested
Meredith,
it.
you-
I know, but I think he's looking at Anderson.
No,
Yeah,
No, I'm just asking. So
yeah, I think it was the last submission that we had received that had been tabled.
Okay. Can you see if we have that on the drive?
I can check.
Okay.
It wasn't part of their land development. So
think
was it?
Or not in the set.
Bear with us a second.
No,
We're
but
looking
not
for you.
separate.
While she's looking that
Are
up,
we able to
can you
look?
point out roughly where the walkout conditions would be? Is that going to be towards Ruppsville? Or we don't know that?
I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
One other question while we're waiting.
Yeah. So
What
we,
will the buffer be
She took them
between
down.
where the tree farm is now and the houses by property borders that? What are you gonna do for a buffer? If the trees are gonna go down, under the understanding, the trees will come down, what's gonna be in its.
We don't have
in its
grading.
place.
So you're asking about the buffer.
Oh, there you go. The image is back up on the screen then.
There's a, it's difficult, I can show you, but yeah, there's a landscape buffer along all of these properties. That'll be,
What actually is gonna be a buffer? What type of landscaping?
it's mostly.
Arbs?
Yeah, it's per the ordinance, it's mostly evergreen, trees.
Yeah, because we see no renderings of any of that except little square dots on a plan.
You don't, it's in the house up there now.
Yeah, and they're all.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, that one.
See the house, yeah.
Yeah, and the type of plants are all specified on the landscape plan. It's a mixture of different evergreen trees and shrubs.
to touch on his point, because I believe you're at one of the, either the north or southern
I
part of
am the
Tupelo.
last house on Tupelo.
You're the one
Potential
cornering,
lot behind me, yeah.
you're cornering the parking lot.
That's correct, which wasn't there in the last.
Right. So looking at the landscaping plan, where you have the twins, is there going to be
Can you call
trees at the back of the yards of the twins? Currently on the plan I'm looking at, I don't see that.
Be 100.
No,
62.
there's a swale there. So
Okay.
There aren't proposed. There's a
Which way does the swell go? Towards your
Jason,
property?
there's the landscaping plans up on the screen if you want.
Sorry, what area?
Yeah,
The
the
swale
two-
starts up at the top there.
with the twins.
Yeah, so yeah, there's
So
no,
over here?
Yes.
the swell runs along the property line down to the basin,
Okay, which way is it going?
down towards shop. Everything drains in that direction.
All right, thanks. Yeah, because everything drains from the top down now.
Yeah.
So is the land itself going to be leveled, or is it going to be worked at the slope that it's in now? From the top to the bottom, from Route 78 towards Tupelo?
It's gonna generally follow the slope. because it's
Well, the
now.
water just comes down that way now, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, we're gonna pick it up and take it to the basin.
The base, my house is right behind that basin.
Understood.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
Scott Michael, 246 Elm Road. I sit at the corner at the dead end where that access is. I have a tree line on both sides of that property. Are those trees coming down? Because those are very mature 30-foot trees that would be a great block to keep away from this crap that's gonna be behind me. So those trees are there and they're sitting there. Are they coming down?
I remember you at the last meeting. I thought they were going to talk with you about
They
that.
haven't talked to me at all about anything about what's gonna happen in that space. Second question I have is what about the grading towards those houses? Because we don't have any water in our houses right now, and if they change that grading, and if water starts running towards our properties, I have flooding my basement, what are we gonna do about it?
So can we move the map down so we can see the corner where his lot is?
Sorry, where was?
Use up, he's north part of Elm.
Other way.
No, the other way.
The end of
Up on
Elm.
the emergency access
Yeah.
road is
Okay.
right there in the corner.
Yeah, right up there.
So based on grading, looks like it's coming between the townhomes and north of your property, making the bend. And I can't tell if it's just
That's my point, that's what I'm worried
coming
about,
down
sir.
through that area there generally. You do see a peak there where it's roughly, I'm gonna say 20 feet off of the back of your property line coming down through to get to that
Property is
detention basin.
substantially higher than the grading onto our.
I know, but you're gonna grade into my property, then probably is what you're gonna do.
Hmm.
No, everything's gonna drain away from you, like it does today.
And what happens when it doesn't?
Again, I can only tell you that the amount of grade change between those units that are gonna be in front of you is going to be, there's a good amount of grade change.
Yeah. When you start grading that stuff and that runoff comes off onto my property, I already have flooding behind the back of my property already, where the water runs right along the back of that property. It could almost become almost a river down the back of that property. Now you change that flow.
Make sure we take a close look at it.
Plus, what about the trees? I have both lines of that property are lined with trees that are current,
On your property or on
Yes.
our property?
on mine.
Yeah, if it's on your property, we're not.
Well, they're not showing them on those drawings, so it makes me wonder if you guys are gonna take them down.
They can't come on your property.
I can't.
Yeah,
Right.
we
They're big. They're big, and what are you gonna do, chop the back sides of the trees off or something to make sure, like,
As long as they're on your property, that's why they're not shown, because we didn't
All right.
have your property to survey.
Quick question. Right behind your property
Yep.
and on the plan there, what's the rectangle stuff? About
thank you, that was my next question.
50 feet off the back of the property in between the trees. North of the field.
It's a top
To the
lot.
west of his
This?
property.
That right
Yeah,
there.
It's
that's
a
the top lot.
lot.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, I have one last question. Does the parking lot have to be on the side towards 78? Can you flip those around so I don't have to have people on behind me? Is there a reason why they have to be that way? So if you flip the parking lot in the townhouse along that side?
Hearing this question.
So that way I don't have people, I don't have houses right behind on my side of the lot.
You're asking for parking lot?
Yeah, I'm saying if you split parking lot 2 in those townhouses,
Oh.
flip them around.
That they can't do because that's where I think the one time the design came in, they were up there and there just wasn't enough clearance with 78.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And the road was,
Traditionally, it wouldn't fit the swamp.
yeah, and the road was closer then, because there was an option at one point.
Yeah.
At one time.
They
Where the
were.
parking lot was on the south side, but then
Right.
the road was closer. And then the existing neighbors didn't want the road so close. So the road got moved.
All right, I'm just asking,
Yeah.
just asking. We can certainly work with you on the trees you're concerned about. Coordinate to make sure that they're on your property or that we can work around them with the landscaping you propose. Yeah, I don't mind adding extra stuff in there, but I'm just saying is I don't want those trees to come down because they're at 30 feet tall and I won't have to look at that stuff behind me because they're there. And we don't want to take down trees we don't have. All right, pretty answer.
So Ryan, can you make sure that the plans call for the lot line to be delineated prior to the start of construction?
Sure. Yes.
It doesn't necessarily need construction fence, but it should have some kind of caution tape or something along the surveyed boundary line, because I think the concerns of the trees with the neighbors, because we all know how tree lines along fields kind of just grow up over years, and then is this his tree or is this her tree? So I think let's put a note on the plan to get them to at least flag that line out prior to construction. That'll make your life a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And does he have a number he can call
So like
somebody?
I say, you could leave us, you can write down for us your information. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Anybody else?
Todd McAvoy. I live at close to the end of Fur Road. Two questions. These folks, well, one comment, one question. I didn't really understand the pathway. I guess at the end of the property. So what I'm concerned about is all the kids that are going to be in here. How are they getting over to the park? Right now, I mean, I've been in 20 years, right? And it was always just trying to run across Chance as quickly as we could with our kids. Now you're going to have a couple hundred, maybe kids in here, new families. How are they getting to the park without getting hit by cars?
Which part?
Or don't you worry about that?
You talking
Lone
Lane?
Only.
Range is too far.
Yeah, I mean,
There it is.
the project's proposing sidewalk throughout and it's.
That's inside the property.
Yeah, and
Don't worry about that.
And along the frontage on both Sean's and Ropesville, there'll be a path.
How long does the path go and where do you cross over? You don't.
No, we haven't proposed a crossover.
Okay, so it's just risk for all these kids.
Well, there's ADA ramps and there's
So that's at the light, because then they still have to walk up the road that doesn't have a sidewalk on the other side.
So I'll just chime in here. There are two things with this plan. So one is that they do have their own recreation area for kids. They have the tot lot, they have the recreation field, they have a dog park. The second one is, yes, they are showing a side path that connects along Shantz and Rupsville. The township has an initiative to do some construction and implement our Vision Zero action plan. And Shantz is one of the areas that we're looking at prioritizing. So no, this won't directly connect to Lone Lane, but the township has plans to make that connection in the future.
I think if the township would do that, that would be great in the name of safety for these kids. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did it with our kids through Cottonwood.
Yep.
It was just like run as fast as you can, trying to get hit. Because people drive on Chance way over speed. Other comment is the T intersection. That's gonna just be where it's gonna be stop and go, if a stop at all. You're not gonna see people stopping whatsoever. So it's not, especially if you're going right and you're kind of the way people normally go out to Blue Barn. Yeah, it's just gonna be a go.
One of the things that might happen, I'm hoping, because it'll be a three-way stop now, that it'll stop being a bypass for trucks. Because there are a lot of trucks that now come down that road because of the sign on Blue Barn that says no trucks over. And we have tractor trailers come through the neighborhood. So I'm hoping that'll alleviate that problem.
I think that's just gonna be, especially if you're coming into the development, I just think people are gonna stop. But I'm not sure what your solution is, other than you can create some revenue if you put some police.
Well, with any situation like that, ultimately it comes down to enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, you put the speed signs up, which kind of help somewhat.
Right.
Some people look at that as a game and see how fast they can go, but it's just bad. But I think just be concerned about the safety of that intersection. We'll worry about that too.
One of the things I've found is driving around, because I drive a shuttle vehicle during the day, is stop signs that are illuminated with the solar.
Mm-hmm.
They get your attention. because I've almost run the one 2 times.
Yeah.
But every time, because of those lights,
Those are
reminds
legal.
me that I should be.
You have to get a permit from PennDOT to install those.
If there's anything you can do at that intersection that would help that, because the, right as you, especially in the morning, as you come around the corner there, that's a bus stop. Right?
Mhm.
You want to make sure everybody's stopping at both stop signs, not just being annoyed because there's a stop sign, then there's another one 20 feet later. Right? Anything to help with that.
Thank you.
One of the things that I brought up Monday night, I think especially in the beginning, if you're going to put a stop sign there for the people that live there and aren't expecting it, a pre-warning stop ahead, because there isn't really any signing plan or anything included so far, but some pre-warning devices before the actual intersection would be good.
Yeah, Ray, we plan to deal with that during,
Yeah.
the next step as part of final. We're also recommending, always stop placards underneath the stop signs.
Is there anybody else that has any questions, comments, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jody Millard from on Elm Road, 242, to the gentleman that spoke earlier. 2 things. First, when construction begins, do we know when will we be informed of what will begin first? If we could be walked through something like this. For example, would the first group of townhouses be the ones closest to Bastion? Would they be down in the corner near Russell?
You pull up the phase map.
We can do that tonight.
That would be great to know. And so the second question actually kind of sneak in a third.
19.
Second question is, Elm Road, we know, is used just for access, emergency access. During construction, would Elm Road be used during construction?
No,
Great.
except for construction of the emergency access point, but that can be from internal to their site.
And third, print is very small. Where can we actually see these plans and be able to read what's a retention pond, what's a dog park, all of that? Because I really can't tell that.
So Meredith, they can come and make an appointment with you, correct?
Okay.
So if you call the township and ask to talk to the planning department, they'll get you in contact with Meredith, and then she can set up an appointment. And so on there is the phasing plan, which is what the developer anticipates how it's going to build. Now, that phasing plan also needs to get approved by the supervisors, okay? And so it's listing that the area over near Johnson Ropesville is phase 1. The area in the middle is phase 2. And then the last part over near the eastern end is phase 3.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question. We talked about parking during construction when you had all the guys coming in there, carpenters, everybody else. Where are they parking?
Would imagine we'll submit a plan to zoning, full zoning permit for a trailer at the time and probably create some parking lot. It'll be coming in off of John.
I'm just concerned because we questioned this parking on the roads. Once you establish, if it goes into phases, where are they parking? So are other people in the first phase, if they want to go out Bastion Way, how do they get out if everybody's parked their construction lines?
They
It's just a-
probably won't open the access point to Bastion until phase 3 is finalized. They won't open it to the public.
So all the
So phase
people-
1 will just
so-
access Shantz,
So phase 2's got to go out only one way.
most likely to Shantz. Yeah, that all has to get worked out later. But yes, and they'll build temporary parking lots. They'll build, they'll stone their proposed parking lots, and then that'll be the employee, the laborers parking as well, until they get open to the public.
And even if you choose to move forward and the board does, we'll still be back in the final plan where we can work those details out as well.
I guess that's a question I was saving to ask as far as the phasing of this. Once you get preliminary plan, which includes all 3 phases, are you coming back with final plan for just phase 1, or what's the sequencing with this? Are you going to get final plan for phases 1, 2, and 3, and then as the phases move through construction, are you going to be then just recording that phase? How's this gonna function? And then that also gets with the sequencing of the through road. You know, I know a similar project that this builder's familiar with is the one up in Lehigh Hills. And when that came through, we wanted the access points that was phased in 2 or 3 phases, but we wanted the infrastructure to be installed in advance. I forget what that was many years ago, but how is this going to be phased and the sequencing?
So I would imagine, but I think this is still a subject of discussion associated with the final plan, is that we would bring in a final plan for all 3 phases. But we work out those details, whether we're continuing the infrastructure all the way through. When I say that, I think we would record a plan, suppose security on a phase-by-phase basis, but we'd have to look at things like if we needed a temporary cul-de-sac, things like that, as the phases were built out. But that's the way, and again, this goes back a long ways too, but that's the way we did Highgate many years ago too. That was to take each piece and record each piece one at a time, but look at that interim condition as well. But I think that's still subject to discussion.
Okay, but the infrastructure, the stormwater and all that's going to be constructed. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
How many bedrooms are going to be in these?
Traditionally 3.
3? Okay. So I want to go back to 400 cars and 200 plus units. How many of you all had more than 2 cars parked in your driveway, garage, when your kids were learning to drive and you had 3 kids or 2 kids? Did y'all have? I had 3 kids. We had 4 cars. Actually, at one point we had 5 cars. So I think it's ridiculous to think that there's going to be 400 cars in that development only.
Well, that's the real world. They don't live in the real world. They live in the world of engineering because.
Unless everybody who's moving in there is retired or working from home, seems a little ridiculous to me too.
I can only offer there are 3-bedroom townhouses, so you're probably not living there with 4 kids.
At least 2. And I had twins, so 2 of my boys shared a room.
I would just say we're complying with the ordinance, obviously, and there's certain homes that will have no kids. There might be older people that are living there that maybe only have 1 car, or you might only have a single person living in a single unit. I think there's a lot of hypothetical questions, but one of the, I guess, objective factors that we look at is how do we comply with the ordinances that are enacted by municipalities, and this plan is compliant with said ordinance.
Do you ever go to any of your developments after they're completed and look to see at the parking, look at the parking? I guess that's for Horton, because not the engineers necessarily, to see if you're complying with an ordinance, but the real world is what she's bringing up is true. You know, we have multi-families living together. We don't regulate that. We have more cars. There's no public transportation. So you have overflow, it's great. Somebody has a party, the overflow is taken up all of a sudden. So, you know, you have to go back and look and see if things are really working compared to what an ordinance says. Sometimes you have to go up and beyond, you know,
but ultimately, yes, that's all qualitative. We all recognize that. Quantitatively, that's what they have to meet. If they meet the plans, if they meet the law, there's nothing much that us or the board can do, because we'll end up being subject to lawsuits,
which will
go against it.
So how long from start to finish?
It's difficult to say what the absorption would be, the number of sold each month that we're able to construct. This would be a multi-year project.
62 townhouses and 6 twins.
We probably have all the.
24 months, that is truly a number pulled out of the air.
So the 6 twins are going first.
Okay, is there any other questions, concerns? By the audience? Anybody up here have any more questions, comments, concerns?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend conditional preliminary approval conditioned upon for docket number 2336, conditioned upon the comments and staff and engineers' letters.
You heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Anybody in the audience have any questions on that motion?
Forgot to do the waivers. Sorry.
All right, if there's no question, you want to do the waivers first, or we can just?
Do we need to do the waivers first, Andrew?
We can do the waivers first, sure.
Okay,
All right, we're going to withdraw that motion for right now.
sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that, my error. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to recommend granting waivers 1 through 3 as identified in HRG's December 12th, 2025 review letter.
Okay, you heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second. Any discussion on the motion for the waivers? Anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, or concerns about the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's passed.
Okay. Now I'll do the waiver thing. So I'd like to make a recommendation for conditional preliminary approval for docket number 2336, conditioned upon the comments and staff and engineers review letters.
You heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's passed. Just to remember that we are the recommending body, that this will eventually go to the township supervisors for approval. Okay, next up on our agenda is docket 2343, 121 Nestle Way for preliminary. Meredith?
The proposed development consists of the consolidation of 8 parcels bounded by Shantz Road, Nestle Way, and Alt Road, and the demolition of the existing residential buildings and accessory structures. The application proposes to construct an 82,167 square foot warehouse with associated parking, stormwater management, and other associated site improvements. The applicant has submitted a modification request letter identifying one waiver from the SAUDO. An application was submitted to the zoning hearing board, and at the December 13th, 2023 meeting, the ZHB voted to grant approval to allow the applicant to develop and operate a distribution warehouse subject to 14 conditions. In terms of the Vision Zero action plan, this plan depicts side paths along Nestle Way and Shantz Road and Nestle Way, and then also includes sidewalk along a portion of Alt Court, and it connects to Shantz Road. So it complies with the Vision Zero action plan. That's all the comments I have.
Brian?
It's going to be Anderson this time.
Anderson?
Instead of going over the waivers, because I don't think this one is needed at this time, because we are not recommending that the applicant do preliminary final at this time, I'll turn it over to the applicant to introduce the project since it hasn't been here in a while.
Good evening. Steve Walsh, Dynamic Engineering. As mentioned, about a 82,000 square foot warehouse, you have seen this plan, I believe, for special exception. We were here for a preliminary presentation. It is the same plan. That came through twice, if you remember. We had a kind of a more rectangular building. The first time, this was the identical plan that you have before you that was approved for special exception. Minor tweaks from engineering in terms of refining stormwater, working with the township fire department on widening some of the apparatus roads, which is not reflected in these reviews. This is still the June 30th fire marshal review, but I had called with Peer Price and worked through all of those issues. So those are all addressed. As far as I'm concerned, again, worked through planning's comments in terms of pedestrian access. I think we have some minor cleanup here as far as I'm concerned. In the letter, all will comply, drafting items, administrative items, a couple stormwater comments that I think Anderson and I can work through. Conservation does have our MPS application. That should be administrative complete. They're taking their time with that. We do have Act 537 planning approval. It's not issued, that's pending. We should have that any day. PennDOT permitting is in process in terms of the pedestrian facilities. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer.
Okay, and sorry, just to confirm, so we didn't have some of those updates in our letter. So you said, just to clarify where you're at, you have submitted now to PennDOT, and you've submitted to, okay, gotcha. So in the response letter, that was not updated at the point that we updated that in our letter. So thank you for the update.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Paul?
No, just so you're recommending, you're comfortable with the conditional preliminary,
Correct.
and the waiver is for preliminary and final, so technically we don't need to act on the waiver, right?
Correct.
So
That's our recommendation.
So
Correct.
can we pass, if we choose to make a recommendation for plan approval, can we pass it along with no action on the waiver, or do we?
We
need
would
to address
request that the
waiver?
applicant withdraws it.
As long as Andrew's okay with that.
Yeah, I was actually looking at Andrew.
Oh.
No, I would agree with that. That if it's approved, or I should say recommended for approval as a conditional preliminary plan, it kind of goes without saying that you
Yeah.
did not grant
Okay.
the waiver unless the applicant would press for that. And then I think you can tell which direction that would go, but it would move on to the supervisors then as
Yeah.
preliminary.
So does he need to do that now verbally? Or no?
Once it went to this,
Okay.
once it went to the supervisors, there wouldn't be any action on it, as Ryan or Anderson said.
Okay.
But when it got to the supervisors, that would be removed from
Okay.
their application.
Monday, we're talking about the curb.
What was that question?
The curb, right
On-
coming out of-
On Shantz Road?
Do you mean on Old Court?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Nestle
yeah,
Way?
double the compound curb.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, so it's gonna be a straight up 75 full.
What you want, what we got?
Well, it's got to pass the truck.
So,
Correct.
Go
So
ahead,
we
Nancy.
believe that we can work with the applicant and they can achieve the required turning movements by doing a 75-foot radius along with some widening within the right-of-way of Nestle Way.
Okay.
Yeah, the truck isn't able to turn and straighten out properly to stay within the, I guess, southernmost lane that's oriented, or
Northern-
easternmost
yeah.
lane. Apologies.
That was really the only major.
That was the main one. Everything else, or a lot of the comments were related to submission to outstanding agencies. A lot of it is working out and fine tuning the stormwater management plan. And there's a little bit of work on the traffic study related to crash analysis. The statistics were there. We need just a little more analysis and beefing that up to be comfortable with that. Like I said, the remainder are, stormwater comments to fine tune and work through.
All right.
You want to, Tim?
Yep. All right, I'm going to recommend preliminary approval for plant docket number 2343 based on comments of staff and engineers.
You heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Sorry.
Chris.
Chris seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you. Okay, next up on our agenda this evening is docket 2411, 339 Grange Road, residential subdivision sketch plan.
This application proposes to subdivide a 4.19 acre parcel into 8 lots and to construct 8 single-family dwellings along a private road with 2 access points onto Grange Road. The applicant intends to utilize an existing stormwater basin adjacent to the project site, which is owned and maintained by the Old Town Homeowners Association. Though this is a sketch plan, the applicant did submit a modification request letter identifying 7 waivers from sections of the SALDO. Just a note from the comprehensive plan that map 6, environmentally sensitive areas, does identify the existing residential dwelling unit as an eligible historical structure. The characterization reflects the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, or PHMC's, classification of the structure as determined eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Staff recommend that the building be retained and rehabilitated as one of the dwelling units in the subdivision to comply with the comprehensive plan's objective of preserving the township's historic resources. The Vision Zero action plan does not depict any connections along the Grange Road frontage of the property. I do want to point out that they have sidewalk along the entire frontage of Grange Road. They have sidewalk on the northern portion of the private road. And then they did extend along Grange Road that sidewalk across the property that's owned by the Old Town Homeowners Association in order to not install sidewalk on both sides of the front of the street. So staff is in support of that as long as there is a plan for the short and long-term maintenance of the sidewalk in front of the stormwater basin. That's all the comments I have.
Anderson?
Yeah, so just to preface, we did start with a pre-application meeting with this applicant, and it was suggested that they come about for a sketch plan because there are a substantial number of waivers in order to make this project feasible at all. So in order to get the Planning Commission's general feel and feedback on those. Again, these are for discussion purposes only, but first I'll turn it over to the applicant if you'd like to come up. And we could go through each waiver one by one, get your discussion on it, our discussion on it, and the Planning Commission's discussion on it.
Before we start that, can somebody just point out where the existing house is?
It's here. You can see it.
Okay, that one right there. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Scott Pastersky with Keystone Consulting Engineers. I'm the engineer for the applicant. The applicant is HK Brothers Development. Sue Langdon in the audience, and we're representing on his behalf this evening. As Anderson had indicated, we did attend the pre-application meeting and hashed through quite a bit of information with this. And I don't want to be redundant if some of this is self-evident, but I did have a short summary of the project prepared to maybe bring everyone up onto a level playing field just to make sure.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So again, much of this might be redundant information, but the project is located in the R2 zoning district. The applicant proposes 8 single-family homes on the applicant or on the property as shown, and that is the by right use. The overall acreage of the project is 4.19 acres, and the layout that is depicted meets current zoning regulations. The applicant is currently equitable owner. They're under their due diligence period, looking to close on the property soon. And this Planning Commission attendance and your valuable feedback is what the applicant will use to further contemplate his development intentions on this property. So we're very interested to hear what you say. We hope it's positive, but if it's negative, we also want to hear that and be brutally honest so we can
make decisions according with what to do with the property. The plan that is proposed indicates 2 points of access as seen, and we believe that is the most efficient layout, although it does require a waiver to permit for access for the residents, the future residents, also for emergency services. It indicates provides a very efficient layout and access points for the site, also considering the low volume roadways. From an engineering perspective, we don't see that being an issue. We can get more into the waivers in a little bit. With regards to sidewalk, as Meredith has pointed out, we know the Grange Road Park and all the wonderful, I'm actually, just by the way, I'm an Upland Country resident. We use that park all the time. Thank you, Township, for that. We're constantly on the pickleball courts or doing the path, walking, or taking the kids to the playground. So we know what kind of an amenity that is. We know that the future residents of these lots are going to want to use that park. So we felt it was important to provide the sidewalk connection across the Old Town HOA by the storm basin on the right portion of the plan, to cross using the existing crosswalk facilities at the roundabout to get to the community center and all the other facilities. So with that, with regards to site grading, generally speaking, the site is graded and sloped away from Grange Road. It drains just by surface to that basically the entire property is surrounded by the Old Town stormwater ponds. And our proposed grading, although not depicted on this plan, would be designed to mimic existing grading so that the water would ultimately end up in those ponds as well. You might have noticed that there is no stormwater management facilities proposed, and that would be correct. And the reason why, we checked Google historic imagery, and all the greenhouses and impervious cover that's there based on the ordinance adoption date of 1988, we believe we will have a net reduction in impervious surfaces. So that would be our stormwater management BMP, if you will, or SCM as they're calling them these days, to manage the stormwater of the site. We know we will need an NPDES permit. The site being 4 acres, it will be well over the 1 acre threshold. We believe we will be able to meet the NPDES requirements for volume control as well, with simply reduction of impervious if we were not able to, since we don't have detailed survey and this is a sketch plan, we're not that far along. We have kind of targeted the back corners of lots 2 and lot 5, or the upper left and upper right corners of the green area, where we do have additional lot area that we could direct stormwater to and do some kind of stormwater management, filtration or volume detention or what have you, as the further calculations would depict. So we do have a backup plan, is what I'm saying. The stormwater drainage would be collected in road storm sewer as shown, run down a lot line in an easement and direct discharge into the Old Town basins. We have not yet contacted the HOA for Old Town. We would realize that would be contingent on us getting an easement from them to be able to do that. But it makes all the sense in the world to do that. That's where the water goes now. We would look to continue, not interfere with what's naturally occurring at this time. Just a couple other things. Utilities. There is public sewer is not in Grange Road along the site frontage. However, it is in the lower right-hand corner of the plan near the roundabout. There's the most upstream manhole. We were proposed, it's kind of hard to see on this image. It's kind of dark. But if we would propose a crossing of Grange Road and extension of that sewer to the manhole along the southern side, I should say planned south side of Grange Road, and we would comply with whatever the Public Works Department would require for road overlaying, or as far as what would be required to restore that road to its initial luster following construction. Water is located in Grange Road currently. We propose a simple loop system. Fits nicely along the shape of the road. Loop water systems are obviously make authorities happy and make townships happy because it provides the continuous flow of the water. There's no stagnation. So that would be proposed. Other utilities such as gas, electric, telecom would be provided again from existing facilities on Grange Road. So with that said, that's the general overview of the project. And there's several waivers, as Anderson had pointed out, that we did want your feedback on, but before we dive into any waivers, I want to take a breath and pause and see if there's any questions.
I would think you would move as quickly as possible about the drainage going over to Old Town. Wouldn't that make a decision whether you would even do this project? If
Good point. We have actually been attempting to contact Old Town. We've not yet been successful. I do have, honestly, I have a contact that was provided to us that I haven't followed up with yet. So yes, I agree with you. That's a great point. If they said no, right, we do have other options. We can maintain the existing stormwater flow over the property line and basically by mimicking existing conditions with like a level spreader so that we're not creating a point source discharge that would require use or anything special from them.
Yeah, we had a development not too long ago that was approved. It's along Shantz Road that has detention basins that basically are taking up a lot of the property. And there are no houses built there, but I think it's going to be tough for them to sell luxury houses when you have these detention bases right up next to your property line. So, I mean, that's your choice, but I mean, that's what we're looking at that's a big piece of the pie you need to take care of.
Is that a deterrent or is that an amenity because you don't know, you're not gonna have to worry about your rear yard neighbor? But that's certainly a good point. Take that into consideration.
So do you think you're actually going to be able to get this approved without infiltration controls, Scott, through the conservation district, knowing how their interpretations of ordinances go?
Yeah, so they have a 20% of the existing impervious has to be treated as if it was pervious. And that's really the catch. There's no question that we're going to be less impervious. Will we be 20% less impervious? Until we have a detailed survey, we're not going to know that. But again, I'm not concerned about that because we do have the areas to handle the infiltration in the back of lots 2 and 5 to handle that as a contingency plan. So do I think so? I mean, it's 50-50.
So it seems like the majority of the concerns that HRG has on your waivers is basically you need to do a whole bunch of vehicle movement templates to make sure the trucks get through there. So obviously without those tonight, we can't really comment on it, but certainly, you know how township staff and the Bureau of Fire, treat those vehicle movements, with a lot of respect. So you're going to have to prove that to them. So.
Plus you're also showing your driveways on lots 4, 3, and 7 directly across from each other. I mean, did you think about staggering that with the other side so you don't have people backing into the neighbor's driveway like my neighbor and I do?
I do like the fact that you've extended the sidewalk all the way down to the cul-de-sac, to the roundabout.
The footprints shown on there are not they're placeholders.
Yeah, they're just
as
boxes.
are the driveway locations.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that HRG had a comment about trying to get the driveways for, what was that, lots 1 and 6?
1 and 6, correct.
As further away from Grange as you could.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And just before we jump ahead into any of the waivers for discussion, just to preface to the Planning Commission, because of the geometry waiver request and the road not being constructed to public road standards, we would request that this be a private road.
Yeah.
And your Public Works Department has requested that as well.
With regards to decks, patios, and whatnot, what's the ordinance to property line? Because right now I'm saying it looks like 4 and 3 are roughly 30 feet from property line to back of dwelling.
Oh, that's 25, isn't it?
That's 25 to that. Is that
plus about 5?
Oh.
Yeah. So how far? Does that mean they're going to go 5 feet with the patio, or?
So we've had some recent discussions with your zoning group on that, and somewhat of a zoning matter. But if it is a deck, it's considered an accessory to the house, so it could not extend beyond that
So
setback.
can't go into that
if it is
25.
an at grade like concrete patio, stoop, whatever you want to call it.
And it could.
It could.
Okay. So decks would be out, patios would be in. What about the two facing towards Grange? Is there any difference with those?
No.
Just that they're going to be totally exposed to Grange on the backside of the house.
Well, there
Correct.
is a buffer that's proposed and required for reverse frontage lots that don't have, it's a 75-foot buffer
There are the trees.
Or-
I missed that.
or a physical buffer as shown.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, certainly the size of the house is just a box. It's a rectangle. We get it. But with the way they're on there, and not everybody wants a house with a yard that you can use, but, you know, like most of these lots, you're not going to get a pool on. You know, you're not going to get a play set on, right? You're not going to get a deck on. And now, granted, there's a market that doesn't want any of that stuff. But as you know, the township's going to make you put all these notes on the plans about what can and can't be put where. So there's a potential that you're limiting your buyer pool for some of these.
Understood and appreciated, yes.
Well, you said be brutally honest, so.
Yeah.
Good points.
The other item that was a topic of discussion on Monday was the house. Any way of going around it, keeping it? What's the thoughts
I
on
mean,
that?
so we have reviewed the comment and discussed it. I've discussed it with the applicant. It's, we don't believe it's going to be feasible. It doesn't, we can continue to consider it to see if there's a way, but at this time, at this very preliminary stage of the project where it's kind of making a go or no go decision on the property, we can't, it doesn't appear to be feasible to keep the house now, not just for quote unquote feasibility, but for compatibility with the neighborhood. If you look at the high-end homes, and by the way, the applicant doesn't just tend to be the developer, but also the builder of the homes. They're in it for the long haul. You're gonna have high-end homes, brand new, and then this older home that I love older structures, but it won't be compatible with what is proposed on the other lots. We see that as being a problem. So at this point, I mean, we're not striking it from the ledger as never, but at this point, it looks more likely no than yes.
Now, I've driven by there probably, I have to say, thousands of times. I never looked at the house. Is there anything?
I didn't even know there was a house there.
That's probably what it is. I just drive by there and I'm paying attention to the road, but is there anything architecturally significant about the house? I mean, is there just the fact that it's old?
From the first book of opinions, I don't think so. I don't want to pick on anybody's house, whoever's living there. I'm just saying, if there's nothing significant, it's got siding, and I probably should have came armed with a picture to show you just for illustrate. I don't know if you have access to Street View.
I'll have to go to
Google, but it looks like it might be an older home, but it's got some modern siding on it, and it looks, to me, it's not like it has Roman arches or something like that.
No, but they cover
cover
up a lot over the years. It's just everybody came in and put siding on everything
Yeah.
to make it look nice. But if you would take it off, it would be say, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Because of
But
flower
yeah,
place, did
I
it?
just never paid attention to that. I mean, as many times I've gone to Siggins and bought flowers for my wife, I see where it is right.
Oh, now I see it, yeah.
So I'm just going to make a pitch for the house because it is determined eligible by the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, which is equivalent to being listed in the National Register. And they don't just list a house because it's old. It has to meet one of, I believe, 7 criteria. The criteria range from it has architecture of significance, it was associated with a significant event. I don't know what the case is with this particular structure because I don't have access to that information, but they can't list something just because it's old. And I would argue that if you were to rehabilitate it, I think it could fit in. So I think that.
Yeah, we have other conditions like that around the township, so.
And the township has so few historic resources, and it is one of the goals of the comprehensive plan to retain the few that exist. I think there are only, I want to say there are only about 7 structures that are determined eligible that are in the township, and this is, one of the last.
But I have gone to other communities where they've kept historic buildings and built brand new ones around it. like a lot of the old farmhouses in my development.
Or moved it. I mean, it's
Or moved it, but Oakland Park, there's the old farmhouse that's on Bastion Lane. That was the whole big farm. And, but they built the development around it.
and I mean, it's a supposition, but chances are the wing to the right is not
No,
original
that's
to the
not-
house.
That was an add-on.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah,
That looks like an addition.
yeah.
So things to consider.
Fair enough.
It doesn't look like it's a difficult move. It looks like you got to move it. You know, you got to pick it up and move it back like 15 feet.
Was there ever any discussion with regards to doing townhomes or something like that on this property?
I think there would be a desire to certainly get a higher density, however.
The
maybe
zoning.
Something similar to what Old Town is, you know, the,
Twins,
dense
yeah.
development. I don't believe it's by right use, it would require some type of use approval for zoning. So I think that would be accepted, or that would be something that would be interested in looking at.
Mhm.
But right now, it's not by right.
But then we've got, you're talking about more cars, more people, more everything.
And you're R2, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, towns are not allowed in R2
No.
by right, correct?
They're not.
Some of our waiver justifications get evaporated if we have more density, so.
Well, it doesn't seem overly offensive.
And the things we've seen over the last couple of years, this is not the worst by any means. And I'm not going to say, I'm not making it sound bad, but yeah. If everything works out relating to drainage and all your approvals, you know, it should be an asset.
Yeah.
Should we quickly skim through some of the waivers?
Do you guys want to? Yes.
If that's,
Skim through.
Yeah.
Sure.
skim
we'll do a
through.
quick skim
Yep.
through. How about I'll talk about if you have anything else to add?
Sure.
That, all right. So we could start with number 1. This is for driveway separation, specifically for lots 1 and 6. It's the distance from the driveway to Grange Road. Again, these are single-family dwelling driveways. We think that they can achieve better compatibility by shifting the driveways as far north to the property line as possible without conflicting with pavement setbacks per the zoning ordinance. We don't have any other concerns about that one. Anything else to add?
No, we don't have concerns either. We feel the driveways, we will maximize them, push them to the north or fly north as far as possible. And since it's going to be low traffic, there'll be plenty of room for about 4 cars to stack, which may be a busy, you know, Monday morning or something, you might get that, but there's no, you know, it's low traffic. We don't see an issue.
All right, moving on to number 2. This is for roadway width requirements. This is for the cartway width along Grange Road. A 50-foot width is required for an arterial road. We spoke with Public Works about this as well. We believe that something in the form of shoulder widening, maybe a 2-foot shoulder, would be more suited for this development in this area.
Although when we do look at, if this comes back in, we should look at what the roadway section is between the 2 intersections into Old Town there.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
so we're not in and out, in and out, in and out.
Yep, and that one is certainly up for discussion and further investigation later on. That one will not make or break the plan. Moving on to number 3, this is for centerline radii requirements. This is for their proposed road. This is one that, again, we don't off the bat see an issue with, though we will need to have truck turning movements to confirm that it's feasible to move through the proposed road. Any commentary on that one?
I think when you, and I don't know if you do this with Pete now, but and I know this is not necessarily a high density thing, but when we're doing those movements on high density townhouses and twins, we need to make sure that there's parking shown on the fire apparatus plan. You know, because like,
If parking is allowed,
Like-
or what if there's no parking?
as long as it never becomes parking, you know, like for example, Cross Creek off of 100, is extremely difficult to get a fire apparatus through that development. And those are private roads too, I believe.
And
Are
they,
they? Yeah.
but they do allow on-street parking, I believe,
They
as
do.
well.
They
Right.
do. So not necessarily this application, but just in general, you know,
Okay.
when the fire truck turning gets run, it's gotta,
Mhm.
you have to be cognizant of what the parking condition is going to be permitted to be.
Yeah, okay, or yeah, limit parking if needed.
Yeah.
at the common
And I
area.
only mention that on this since you want to go down to a smaller than standard radius. So,
On the plus side, we think that the radius will provide some natural traffic calming.
yep.
All right, moving on to number 4. This is another geometry request for center line tangent radii requirements. Another one where we're going to need to see truck turning. I don't think there's much discussion needed on this one. Moving on to number 5. This one is the distance between intersections for the classification of Grange Road as an arterial. 800 feet between driveway and street intersections is required. So this one is the one that would make or break the project. What we've looked at during the pre-application meeting was that based on the amount of frontage that you have, even if you propose one singular access
Yeah.
point, you can't achieve 800 feet in each direction from the other 2 streets, which are Tecumseh and
Lenape.
Lenape, correct.
And this is only a SAUDO condition, right?
That is
Yes.
correct.
It's not a zoning thing that they're going to have to accomplish. Okay, good.
Yep, that's
Thank you.
correct. So yeah, they don't have the separation between their driveway or their road intersections with each other and with the adjacent streets. So that's again something that I think is worth a discussion here tonight if there are any concerns.
I don't know if you want, some of the points that we made that I think for consideration is if you can consider, compare it rather to the existing condition, it's basically open frontage for the existing, business that's there. I don't know if it's actually still open, but there's pretty much, if this plan maybe doesn't do it justice, but there's open frontage, there's stone access, and it's a free for all. Out of there, this consolidates that
Yep.
into 2 distinct points. Again, low volume of traffic, there's never going to be a situation where closely spaced intersections result in confusion with 7 people back up past one through the other. It's a few car. I shouldn't minimize it. There's a low volume of traffic coming out of the driveways. We don't see any safety or operational issue.
Is that a construction entrance
Yes.
into the park on the other
Correct.
side? So
Correct.
that'll be removed.
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to number 6. This is for driveway radii requirements. This is a 55-foot radius is required for their tie into Grange Road. They are using a 35-foot. We believe that they can achieve the 55-foot and still comply. Again, we'd like to see truck turning movements. If you'd like to further proceed with requesting this relief, but at this time, we think that 55 feet is achievable.
Quick comment on that. Grange Road is classified as an arterial roadway, which kicks in the 55-foot radius requirement. Most of the other roads in this area, it's not reflected in our letter. There's a lot of 35-foot radii in these same width roads, and apparently the design vehicle or moving trucks or whatever, I'm not aware of any issues. And it's just because of the classification of this being arterial, and I'm not sure how it was classified. Maybe Keystone did it, I don't know. But however it occurs.
Certainly Keystone did.
Anyway, better move on.
So I guess when you come back in with that, I know I'd want to know what's the radius, down at the intersection to plan right.
Well, that being a roundabout, I don't know if that would be an apples to apples, but we could certainly provide some
Yeah.
case homes, yeah.
Or the next one up.
Right.
to the north.
That's not the one I measured, probably
Yeah.
would have been a logical choice, but I measured some other ones in the area. with
Yeah.
Similar widths, things like that. But again, if that's.
Well,
not the-
Hopewell Farms too. We could look at what that is.
What's that again?
The radii into Hopewell Farms.
Sure, Hopewell Farms, Auburn Drive.
Yeah.
Whatever that development is. on
I
the
mean, you got to
opposite side of
justify it
Grange.
when you come back in.
So there's
You know what you got to do.
Plenty of options there.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, we could do it, but I think it would actually encourage tractor trailers, hey, this is a place where I belong.
Yeah.
And they don't belong. Yeah, either way, that's not really that's critical, but I think 35 makes more sense.
All right. And then finally, moving on to number 7. This is a waiver of sidewalks internal to their development. This would be on the south side of the proposed road. And instead of proposing them there, they would do the connection from their property down to the roundabout to provide crossing to Grange Park. So we think that that makes a lot more sense in terms of connectivity, better serves this development. We did also look at the Old Town plans, and they don't have a deferral that could be called in for them to install it
Yeah.
here. So we do think that this does make sense if the Planning Commission would consider that idea.
I think the connectivity is good. One question that just popped in my head right now that I don't think anybody has asked. So are you thinking that these are going to be fee simple or condos or?
Single family. Yeah, they would not be, well, the HOA would be responsible for maintenance.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't got that far.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if it's a private road, who's going to own it? If these are single family.
Yep.
The HOA.
If these are, okay.
Seems like it'll be fee simple to me, but
Just wondering. Yeah, that's not something you necessarily need to know tonight. Just,
Sure.
Yep. Any discussion on that waiver?
I think it's reasonable.
All right.
I mean, during the pre-app, we did discuss maybe for lots 7 and 8, connectivity from the rear of the home to the sidewalk along Grange.
Providing a gate of some
Or
sort.
with a
Well,
gate.
doesn't there need to be a berm?
So that is one of the comments in our letter. So that section of the ordinance requires a 3-foot high undulating berm.
Yeah.
To meet that buffer requirement. The applicant has instead proposed a fence, and what we voiced is if you'd like to do a fence instead of a berm, that would need to be a waiver request. So real quickly, if we want to just skim the letter to be brief, most of these are just alerting the applicant to future requirements. Truck turning movements are a big one, number 18. Number 20 or 19 and 20 talk about that buffer that we just mentioned, required between Grange and lots 7 and 8. Jumping down to 22, they'll need to install curb or get a deferral for along Grange Road. Jumping down to 33, this is talking about stormwater management easements, which would obviously be required to construct and discharge into the adjoining properties basins, karst hazards, and that's the bulk of it. Very quickly.
For the thorough review, though, that'll be a helpful checklist.
Anybody have any questions for him? Comments?
You got to make Dave come present.
He's seen this plan.
All right. We have nothing else?
Okay, thank you for your.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, there's nothing else that has to come before us this evening, correct?
Nothing else.
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Pete made the second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's go home.
Happy holidays.
Or leave.
See you next year.
Holidays.